Hello, Tashi Dele. Hello, everybody. I hope everyone is doing fine, taking good care of yourself, taking good care of each other. Okay, as usual, we start with settling our body and mind in the present moment. Try to create a basic, serviceable mind and body to the learning of the Dharma, receiving blessings of the teaching. Then refresh our refuge practice, refuge in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and the Gurus. Then take a few moments to understand the suffering situations of numberless sentient beings in the six realms of samsara. We also take a moment to reflect on the suffering of human being that are going through with so many different form of sufferings, in particular in this time, through the pandemic health crisis in the world. Then feel for all those are affected. Feel for all the six realm numberless sentient beings for the suffering of samsara. Feel for sentient beings are being under the control of delusion and karma. Then generate sincere, wholehearted compassion, genuinely, wanting to free them from all those suffering and its causes. And that compassionate heart also carry the heart of love, wanting all these six realm sentient beings to abide them in the state of peerless happiness after the happiness of enlightenment. So do short meditation on compassion and love. Now, for this purpose, to fulfill the objective of love and compassion that you have generated, uh, in order to completely fulfill that, then we ourselves need perfected tools to be able to do the work. And that can only be achieved through accomplishing the two type of merit of method and merit of wisdom. In order to do that, then we need to receive immense blessings of the gurus, blessings of the dharma, blessings of the sangha, so that whatever dharma that we learn through listening, through reading, through contemplation, through meditation, every aspect of acquiring the dharma will become the source of abundance by accumulation of two type of merit, and that will able to actualize oneself in the state of full enlightenment. Then one can perfectly able to benefit numberless sentient beings. One can perfectly fulfill the true purpose of the compassion and love that you have generated before. So for that, then going to engage in this very session, learning the essence of the Dharma, the Lojong, then essence of the Mahayanic Dharma, the teaching on the true altruism. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we go through the text, continue from the last session. We are still in the Lama Atisha's text on the annotated root line of the Mahayana mind training. So we have completed from the 7 points. We have completed up to the 4th point, which last class we discussed about the essence practice of the lifetime, the 5 power. Also discuss about the utilization of the 5 power at the time of passing away from this life, as transferring our consciousness to the higher rebirths or higher realizations. So today we will go through the 5th point, the presentation of measure of having trained the mind. Those of you who are using the translation text, this one, then it is on page 77. The intent of all teaching coverage on the single point, whether or not it can help subdue you. So the intent of entire Dharma, Sutra, Tantra, Lojong teaching, Lamrim teaching, philosophical teaching, everything for single purpose, for common purpose, which is to eradicate, purify, or eradicate this self-grasping attitude. So, so this is the meaning. Of the two witness, uphold the principal one. Of the two witness, between others' speech, your own mind, train your mind by measuring that you do not disgrace yourself, but train in accordance with your aspiration. So, determine one's development in the path, or the measuring, how well you have trained the mind through the dharma. It is through through the investigation of your own mind, through the through this sign of the transform effect, within our mind, not based on others' judgment, not based on others' others' judgment through the word. So that's the meaning. Cultivate constantly the joyful mind alone. Whatever practice that we do, whatever situation arises in our life, everything, take into a path through the cultivation of altruistic mind. If this can be done even when distracted, your mind, if this can be done even when distracted, you are trained. If this can be done even when distracted, your mind are trained in the remedies. So even during the occurrence of obstacle, like such as distractions of the essential objects like attachment, and the rest of the delusions, the occurrence of the rest of the delusions, and still, if our mind can relate to the cultivation of altruism, bodhicitta, and the emptiness wisdom led by bodhicitta, then that is the sign of a Lojong practitioner or dharma practitioner that can claim as you are trained. Or when we are distracted, when our body and minds are overwhelmed by sensual joy, and when our body and mind are tormented by sufferings, delusions and suffering of pain, etc., then still our attention to the cultivation of altruism does not go away, then that is a sign of that we are well trained our mind. That's a sign of that we have achieved the great benefit of the dharma. We have practiced well. We have practiced Lojong well. Or in another word, any form of joyful experiences comes in our way, instead of dragging our system, our mind into arising of grasping, rather able to take that joyful experiences into a path to the cultivation of altruism, then that is the sign of that our mind is trained. The dharma is affected our mind. When we suffer, when we go through suffering of pain, such as cancer or stroke or whatever suffering that we go through, whatever suffering, including any form of suffering of old age, even the suffering of the drastic sign of nearing to the death. the suffering of dissolutions of the element, then instead of get hallucinated, instead of our mind is under the domination of hallucination of the death process, but rather, our mind stay focused on the cultivation of true altruism, and that is the sign that dharma is, taken as a part in our heart, or our mind is well trained. Our spiritual practice has been successful. So something like that. Train constantly in the three general points to ensure that your mind training does not violate your precept, and that is does not become sarcastic. So the training, our training has to be, we should be training constantly in the three general points. The first point is, our mind, our practice, or our spiritual journey, our spiritual mind, ourself carrying the tag of spiritual practitioner, dharma practitioner, Lojong practitioner. Then our mind should be always cultivating the common precept of the dharma. First one, and from the three general point. The first point is the point, the precepts, the teaching that comes from the general, presentation of teaching, such as what Buddha stated in the sutra. Never to commit non-virtuous, commit only virtuous, subdue one's mind. This is the teachings of the Buddha. So always, training our body, speech, and mind consistently, accordance with that. Accordance with the, never committing non-virtuous, committing only virtuous, and every teaching that we practice, every the methods to cultivate the dharma that we engage, such as either retreat, sadhana practices, initiations, commentaries, order transmissions, mantra recitations, observation of individual liberation, like vows, meditation on shamatha, meditation on spiritual insight, emptiness, everything, taking into taking into us, developing the altruism and subduing the grasping mind. And so that is the first precept, or in another word, your mind training, should not contradict, contradict the general precept of the dharma. You see. So second, the point is, our dharma practice, in particular here, the mind training practice, should not become offensive, should not become, cause of boosting our ego, our ego pride, because of you gain sort of realization in the dharma knowledge, in the dharma precepts, dharma retreats, trainings, etc. Then there's a danger of boosting our ego. So the mind training or the dharma practice shouldn't become offensive. That is one of the another general training. Then the mind training should not become biased. The essence of the mind training practice is to cultivate true altruism, to cultivate bodhicitta, uh, then the practice, not just practicing with a loved one, but then when we encounter in the harmful people, someone who comes to harm you, or people who are stranger, then if we don't cultivate the precepts, cultivate the precepts of the mind, precepts of the dharma, precepts of the mind training teaching, then it becomes biased. So that shouldn't be. In another understanding, the mind training should not become biased. Is when you are happy, when everything is all right, situation in our day-to-day life is all right, then you are very enthusiastic in the cultivation of the altruism, cultivation of the practice. But then when certain inconvenience arises in our life, then we interrupt the practice. We forget about the practice. We let go of the practice, and that is called the bias. We should not become biased. So that is something like that. Transform your attitude, but remain as you are. Transform your attitude, the aspiration of self-grasping, but remain as you are with the respect to the objective that have not been assigned. So the dharma practice, in particular here, Lojong practice, is to transform, to take the effect of transformation in our continuum. It is not about gaining some kind of title or gaining position, gaining higher status, etc. So inwardly, one must progress the realizations in the path, but outwardly, we remain as humble. We remain as simple and humble as possible. Simple and humble as possible. It doesn't mean that before we are engaging in the training of the mind, we happen to be a very wild person, and after you achieve the wild in the sense, not just mentally, but wild in physical gestures and verbal speech, and after you gain the mind training practice, it doesn't mean that we should remain as like before. As long as your mind is trained, but there's no matter with the transformation sign that carry through our body and the speech. It doesn't mean that. It is meaning that remaining physically and verbally, remaining as kind, as humble, as low profile as possible. Or our body, speech, and mind stay as low profile as possible, as humble as possible, as ordinary, like the other, kind, ordinary human being. We don't have to kind of need to wear different clothes, or need to carry a different hairstyle, or different like that. So yeah. Like what we the greatest example in our lifetime, we can see this kind of clear example, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, like Gyabchen Lama Sopa Rinpoche, without any doubt that we can see so clearly, how high their realization in the path. But then their speech and their body, when relate to other sentient beings, they're so humble. Mm, there's no kind of elaboration, from their outer sign of, the achieving the realization in the path. You see, when they meet one another ordinary person, they like what overseas Solas Dalai Lama used to express, that I see one another, himself, one another human being, and nothing more than that. Uh, and as a brother, sister, it's not kind of stranger, not kind of someone is low, something like that. Always regarding every other sentient being as equal, valuable as equal as them, even though their realization in the path, is so high, so like that. So it is important, especially for the ordinary practitioner that who has a great habitual imprint of the egoic mind, ego-centered mind. So, so when we practice the dharma, when we learn, when we achieve some learning and some practices, the amount of retreat we have done, etc., or like even through study, like like study certain study programs, like including like Geshe, etc. Cannot take all those achievement as a source of ego. Rather, the more the knowledge we learn, the more the respect that we gain, the humble that you become. The sign of much practice in the Dharma, the sign of much train your heart with the mind training, the lesser the delusion it become. The more the teaching that you learn, the more the classes that you have, classes and degrees in the Dharma study that you have achieved, the more the retreat that we have done, the more the humble, physically, verbally, we become more and more humble. So like that. Yeah. Then now is the number 6, the presentation of commitment of the mind training. It says, do not speak of the defeat of others in contact of body and speech. Yeah, so extremely, important. Again, this is one of the things that we are so habitual, in to speak goodness of ourselves and to speak faults of others. So, as a Lojong practitioner, overall Dharma practitioner, in particularly, Lojong practitioner, this is the commitment that we need to keep in our heart, and never to speak faults of others. So it's if we cannot praise others, but at least do not speak faults of others. If there's any faults that others are sharing to you, if you agree with them, then just keep quiet. Just keep quiet. Not to contribute, more criticisms or saying false. That breaks the commitment of Lojong. That break the commitment of the learning Buddha Dharma, having refuge precepts, individual liberation, Sangha precepts, then Bodhisattva precepts, and Tantric precepts. Um, then, especially Lojong, the precepts here, Lojong commitments. We are not, we are not supposed to. We cannot speak faults of others. We cannot speak defect of others. Their defect of others. So, if anything that disagree, then just keep quiet. You see, and sometimes we say that if someone is doing wrong, then if we speak out, it will able to help. This is ordinary thinking. The actual the sense of karma, it doesn't work that way. When someone is doing wrong thing, and then if someone even contribute just one single word, negative word towards that, you accumulate extra negative energy, extra negative conditions for that negativities, for that wrongdoings to be more intense. Our worldly way, then you speak about others' fault, and we report to police, we report to we report to police, we tell on the face of that person, then there could be some refrain because of fear, shamefulness, etc. But in the karma and the dharma way, it doesn't work that way. When someone is doing wrong thing, then you have to use skillful means, and that infused by immense of compassion, sincere, genuine sense of compassion and love to that person who's doing wrong thing, who's doing harmful thing. With the skillful, caring, kind means infused by love and compassion, then you help. Like, at least, if there's no way to help directly, then at least we have ability to help them by contributing positive environment, positive condition, like such as prayers, such as simply even generating compassion, noticing and they are doing wrong, then simply expressing four immeasurable thoughts, like just simply expressing four immeasurable thoughts, to that person, that will help. That will create the causes and condition for that person eventually to eradicate the root cause of why that person is doing wrong thing. You see, that's the way. So Dharma way is like that. So worldly way, it doesn't work. We may think it doesn't work that way. So like that. Then do not dwell on others' shortcomings. Those do not dwell on others, those who have entered the spiritual order in particular. So this is a similar thing. Do not search, do not look for faults and shortcomings of others. In particularly, we as ordinary people, the first thing that we carry the false perception, even our eye, ear, tongue, feeling, including mental factor, carrying the hallucination of false view of true existence, false view of inherent existence, false view of dualistic existence. Then more than that, we are, then that false views are it's like what you call polarized, like glasses, like the polarized glasses. They polarized by delusions, delusions, in particularly polarized by self-grasping and self-centered attitude. You know, uh, we don't notice it, but it has it it is main lens, you know, influenced by that. So due to that, then the moment we open our the moment we open our senses uh, with that polarized lenses, uh, then we tends to we only will see the false, and that false is false projection of your own um, delusions and hallucination, is not the false from the object side. You see, even there may be false from the false in that person, but if we choose to look for qualities, then it's like we wear different glasses, purified glasses, that which will only see qualities and purities. You see, and so and that is very very practical and very true. Uh, you see, for Buddha, for Buddha, for Buddha, objectively, there's not even one single atom, one single impure atom is exists out there. Because of Buddha's mind is purified. You see, uh, and we as ordinary, whose mind is not purified, uh, in particularly, we engage in searching for the false, then we will only see limitless faults. You see, and the result of that, there's only harm for oneself and harm for the environment and harm for that person. So therefore, one of the Lojong commitment is never to, dwell in others' faults and others' shortcomings. Like this morning in His Holiness teaching, that someone asked about the different, asked about, the in one object, in one substance, um, the simultaneously existence of the three experiences: the pure, impure, and neutral. Or in another word, the in the substance of in one substance, for Buddha see nectar, for humans see water, for pretas see blood and pus. Mm, uh, uh, you see, so in one substance, there definitely there's three different phenomena exist simultaneously, even though it is on one object, and that is because of the motivation and because of the subject, the mind. So so as a Lojong practitioner, you know, uh, we always see Buddha within all sentient beings. We always see bodhisattvas in all sentient beings. At least by acknowledging the altruistic nature in sentient beings. So that way, even when we relate to others, just simply by even seeing that person, we take that into a path of developing true altruism. Because of the moment you see that person, you see the altruistic nature in them, and that is like what is taking into a path to develop the essence practice of the Lojong or the Mahayana, the altruism. So uh, discard all expectations of reward as a fruit of practicing mind training in either this life or the future life, including even the attainment of the Buddhahood. So the purpose of practicing Lojong is completely bring into transformation from one's own forms into altruism, that which is most beneficial for numberless sentient beings, whether it is now or whether it is on the path or whether it is even after achieve the enlightenment. So therefore, since that being the purpose, then you know uh, we don't practice the lojong, we don't practice the dharma for rewards. We don't practice the dharma even in the purpose of I myself to achieve Buddhahood. There's no such kind of expectations of reward of enlightenment by practicing enlightenment for yourself. Of course, for the benefit of numberless sentient being, you have to achieve full enlightenment. That is included, but we don't mention that in our heart. You see, again, this morning in His Holiness teaching, that someone asked question. When we practice bodhicitta, how about how to go about generating compassion to yourself? And His Holiness answer that yourself is naturally included. Yourself is naturally included. To the cultivation of altruism. You see, so so, but then we don't practice the lojong or we don't practice the dharma in condition of that it has to cause myself enlightenment. So then only I can practice it, not like that. So it's the way, the motivation of lojong practice. As long as I can benefit others, as long as I can benefit suffering sentient beings, then my purpose of practice is fulfilled. As long as I can benefit the well-being of numberless sentient beings, then even I don't attain enlightenment, my purpose of practice is fulfilled. For the purpose of benefit of numberless sentient beings, if I attain enlightenment right now, also doesn't matter. Don't attain or doesn't matter. So therefore, many bodhisattvas, as long as they can benefit sentient being, then they are even, most joyous to, remain even in the lower realm, take rebirth in hell, take rebirth in in migrated beings. If there's a benefit to, if there is a benefit to sentient being, they are most happy to take rebirth in the lower realms. Like that. Like again, like His Dalai Lama always quote, the Nagarjuna and Shantideva's quotation, as long as the space remain, as long as suffering sentient will remain, may I too remain to dispel the suffering of the sentient being. So this is this is that we have to carry. If we think carefully, it sounds like impossible thing, but then it really, just by chanting it, this quotation, and just by reflecting on that meaning, just by expressing even once, it really build courage in your heart. It really kind of feel like you suddenly gain very firm muscles, gain a very kind of rejuvenated, your age, your health, and your whole system is like rejuvenated. I don't know whether I use the right or not. Like regain the power, regain the power. You see, then if especially when trouble comes in one's way, especially like health or something is not going in your way, then your purpose is not to focus on that. Your purpose is to benefit as much as you can in whatever way, at least in the thought of generation of compassion to the well-being of sentient beings. As long as I can do that, that is the main purpose of my life. If that is not the main purpose of my life, then there's no kind of lasting purpose every material gain, including the health, including this life, is temporary. Got limitations. But this heart, but this, the courageous heart to do for the well-being of sentient being is limitless, limitless in its power, limitless in its progress, limitless in its qualities, and limitless in its benefit. You see, so so you see, so not just seeing those quotations, those words, and those attitudes in the text, but really, really, like carrying into our day-to-day life as a motivation, So when good news comes in your way, when some good thing happens your way, and again, this is still the attitude, then you enjoy, like limitlessly. That goodness become cause and conditions of extraordinary happiness, greater happiness. You see, because of this attitude. When suffering comes, when inconvenience comes in one's way, because of this attitude, because of this motivation, the suffering becomes so small. The problem becomes so small. So narrow, so small, so little. When it comes to it is volume, it comes to it is time. You see, so your system, fill up with so much joy and courage, even even in the difficult time. So, like that. So you see, then there's no kind of disappointment. Um, disappointment in our pursuit of dharma, disappointment in our practice. Even we do lifelong retreat also, if there's no realization that you witness, you don't mind, you ever progress and you ever happy. Even you've done so many retreat, but then still you don't see any kind of like effects that you felt, some extraordinary effect. uh, you know as long as it's being beneficial, as long as that you carry the altruistic motivation for that, that is the only intention. No reward, no expectation, others at all. Then uh, that you really feel joyous in your journey of retreat practice. You see. So like that, if we carry the expectations of eight worldly concern, then we won't able to sustain our practice well. In the form of it is quality, in the form of it is duration, we will easily give up. Like that. You see, we have to come to a point that even though that we are engaging in ordinary activities, like eating, sleeping, doing rest of the jobs, etc. But then, until that you come to a point that that you don't see anything is ordinary, that everything is a practice, everything become your spiritual training, your spiritual practice. That until that you are not even aware of you are in an ordinary kind of worldly kind of environment, worldly way of living. We have to train until like that. You see. You see, like like spontaneously, the altruistic attitude arises in our mind. The moment we wake up, the first thought, altruistic attitude arises, either in the mind of emptiness or either in the mind of bodhicitta. The last moment of the mind before go to sleep, either bodhicitta, either emptiness. whatever activity we do, whatever uh, that objects that comes in contact with our five senses, everything naturally interpret into emptiness and bodhicitta. You see, whenever we open our mouth, we recite mantra like Om Mani Padme Hum. Like the moment your mouth is there, you are recitation in the mantras or sutras, etc. You see, so you see, so whenever like your hand, like you never separate, like counting the mantras. You see, like that. So of course, I think in the city world, it's a bit inconvenient for us to, I mean, how to say, carry mala and always, for working people, it's a bit inconvenient. But then the moment that like most of us, who's working, you type computer, isn't it? Most of the time we are on the computer typing. So the moment finger moves, it's like Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Like you are like kind of counting the mantra like that. You see. So sometimes you're not doing your physical body, like your hand not doing anything, and you forget to carry mala, but then you're already like counting your like what do you call this, these dots, you count like Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Like body, speech, and mind is as if like in a competition, of accumulating dharma, accumulating virtue. So like that, it's like three of them is like try to overtake each other in the engagement of dharma practices. So we have to train until it accustom until like that. So then do not maintain loyalty. Do not maintain inappropriate loyalty that retaliates against harm caused by others. Yeah, not to retaliate. Then do not torment with malicious banter that hurts others in the heart. And do not lie in ambush to take revenge. Do not strike at the heart anyone, whether human or non-humans. So even when we do, like you see, like His Holiness Dalai Lama, traditionally when you do like initiations, there's a Gektor, a dharma offering to dispel the hindrances. And His Holiness, since many years, he says he don't do that. He rather give the charity of dharma. Is never to kind of discard or offend or regard, as outcasted. You see, for Lojong practitioner, everyone is precious. Everyone is to keep in our heart, hold in our heart. As more precious than our own heart, like that. Do not place the load of a Zo onto an ox. Do not place the load of a Zo, the undesirable accusation and their burden onto an ox. So this can be understood in a few different ways. One is to protect one's own face, then even though one must have done any wrong thing, then you blame on someone else. So this is one of the meaning. The another one is that whenever we receive harm by others, accusations or abuse, etc. Or even someone steal your things, or even someone cause your life, come to harm you, etc. Then instead of uh, regarding others as a harm giver, and instead of blaming others that they are harm to you, and one should rather regard. So you see, if you regard the harm givers as they are false, then it is like the load of the Zopa placing on the ox. In actual fact, why others are harming? Because of your own karma, and that karma is committed by the self-grasping, by the person that who influence under the self-grasping attitude, self-grasping ignorant. So due to one's own karma, that's why you receive harm from others. So instead of blaming instead of instead of blaming the self-grasping ignorant or the karma, and if you blame others, then you are putting the load of the Zopa onto onto the ox, so it's like that. So in another way is that whenever we receive any kind of harm, human, non-human, elemental harm, always not to blame outside, always take the responsibility within, onto the self-grasping and the karma, self-grasping attitude and the karma committed by that. Also can be understood that you know as a practitioner, as yourself, someone that who practice well, who have gained much knowledge in the dharma, then if one is leading others into a path, then like such as an example of emptiness teaching, then if the listener is not the vessel is not fully ready to receive emptiness teaching, then if you give emptiness teaching, then it's like you're giving the load of Zopa to the ox, like that. If someone is not ready for tantra, then giving tantric initiations, tantric precepts, revealing the secret of the mantra, then it is like giving the load of the Zopa on the ox. So there's many ways of understanding like that. Mm. 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 And also the any faults, any negativities, we when we commit negativities, then we blame the self, we blame the person. We blame the person, even though there's no inherent person out there, but then we blame on the basis of the hallucinated mind. Then we depressed, we disregard ourselves, we discount ourselves, then we abuse ourselves. In the worst case, then feel self no self-worth, no meaning, then feel so much, let's say, depression, from much regret that there's some wrong thing that have done, then even result to take, life, like suicide, etc. If we relate to that, then, uh, we cannot blame the person. We have to blame the ignorant. We have to blame the ignorant, because of the ignorant. You see, the self is very precious. The self, self. The value of the self is extremely precious. This body and this mind and this body aggregates, serve as one of the most precious vehicle to actualize all the knowledge, all the qualities up to enlightenment, isn't it? You see, why one committed such a bad action? Why that one is so regretful? Is because of the ignorant, the self-grasping, the wrong mind, the self-grasping attitude, wrong mind, the self-cherishing attitude. Because of that, you are suffering now. Because of that, you committed immense of negative doings. You committed so much harm. You see, so the real problem lies on the grasping ignorant. Not the person. Not the body. You cannot eliminate the body, and you cannot eliminate the person, because this is so precious, this vehicle, you see. So if you put the blame onto the person when in such a situation, then it's like placing the load of Zo on the ox. You see, so like that, you see. So it can be understood like that also. Yeah. So yeah. So like that. Anyway, do not sprint to win the race. Do not sprint by giving an advantage to yourself when what you desire is on communally, to win the race, but instead accept the defeat. So yeah, like what taught in adverses in dharma practice, in Lojong practice, you have to take the defeat. You don't practice to win to win the race of eight-worldly concerned. You take the defeat from the eight-worldly concern, and offer victory to your wisdom and altruism. You see, if you give a victory, if you take the victory, and very much you are actualizing the victory of eight-worldly concerned. You see, and then you defeat it, and ultimately you defeated your wisdom and your altruism. You see, even though one may think that I gain and others lost. So in the spiritual practice, in the dharma practice, Lojong practice, then other than able to benefit others, there's nothing to win at all. There's no race at all to win, other than being able to offer benefit in your best. Do not abuse the practice, seeking victory for yourself. Do not turn gods into a demon, the mind training. Yeah. So this is also very dangerous. Uh, if we don't know the exact purpose of dharma, then we become very egoistic. We become very very selfish. You know, uh, like every best thing that you have to have it because you are a good practitioner. Everything you need to get first because you are a good practitioner. Everywhere you need to receive respect because you are a good practitioner. Sometimes we see that in Dharma practitioner. Some even who offer Dharma to others, teach Dharma to others, and say, uh, from the from their side, they expect people to, you know, uh, people to offer prostration to them, people to offer, big throne to them, offer um, making offerings, etc. The real Dharma offering doesn't work that way. You see, uh, from the disciple, from the students and the disciples, uh, already learn from the very 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 beginning teaching that in order to accumulate merit, then you make offerings, you make prostrations, you make service, you offer service to your teacher, to etc. etc. But from the teacher side, uh, you know, if if we offer dharma for that purpose, then you are abusing the practice. If you are expecting others to prostrate you, otherwise you are unhappy. If people don't do, then you are abusing the practice. So putting a lot of condition mm, uh, to make yourself important. Mm. So that is abusing the practice. You see, so this is not just in the Lojong practice. Any form of Dharma practices, uh, the ego, self-centeredness, self-grasping, minimum, these basic six delusions, and 22nd secondary afflictive emotions. Uh, if 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 we present having any of those attitudes as a part of motivation in our heart, then that is what means abusing the Dharma practice, abusing the practice. Uh, because that, seeking kind of a victory to yourself, victory of the advocacy concept, victory of the delusion. You see, so very very dangerous. Yeah. So especially in the environment of that academically we are trained, that everything has to be like kind of like calculated. If I give few words of dharma, you have to give few points back. If you like a normal job, if you work for 1 hour, then you have to pay at 1 hour, 1 hour, pay like that. Otherwise, you're not happy. In dharma, offering dharma doesn't work that way. And in the generosity of dharma, as a genuine practitioner, uh, you know, like cannot be upset. Uh, you know, uh, like you go around to offer dharma. Sometimes you get like 5-star facility, and sometimes you get 0-star facility. And sometimes you may be even may need to rent a cave, etc. Sometimes you may have abundance of food. Sometimes you may even have staff. But then that is not a purpose. And as a Dharma teacher, as a Dharma practitioner, not just a teacher, but even people who go and pursue the Dharma, a genuine Dharma practitioner, then all this has to be out of our concern at all. The ultimate only objective is, pursue the Dharma, cultivate the Dharma, offer the Dharma, and receive the Dharma. As long as there's a correct teaching is presented, qualified teacher is there, as long as qualified student is there, qualified environment is there, the rest is everything is like not matter at all, or it's like a secondary or not matter at all. So these are from the Dharma teacher, from the Dharma centers, monasteries, abbots, managers, committees, public students, everybody have to be absolutely mindful. Otherwise, we will fall into abusing of our practice, abusing of Dharma, very serious karma. Then that is a very heavy pollution, heavy pollution. Then in that kind of environment, then you practice Dharma, cannot subdue our heart. More than not only not subduing, the Dharma become pollution. Dharma itself is not a pollution, but because of when that pure thing, pour into a dirty vessel, then become poison, isn't it? Like that. Even pure thing, pure water pour into a rusted container, then it become poison. You see, so then that's why there's a emphasis on. There is also a emphasis on the Dharma pollution. Not to get Dharma pollution. Very serious. When you get Dharma pollution, then it's like water is to extinguish the fire. Water will extinguish the fire. But the water itself turn into fire, nothing can. But here in Australia, I see this. Not the water is the one extinguish the fire. The cloth, something. You put on the fire. That's how you extinguish. You may debate with me, saying, Geshe, what is water? We use cloth. So it doesn't matter whether it's a cloth, whether it's a sand, whether it's water, but the antidote, to the fire turn into fire, nothing can extinguish the fire. That's the meaning. So Dharma is supposed to, be antidote and extinguish the delusion, like, not just the root delusion, but even the secondary delusions, but then instead of that, then instead it become a condition to boost the delusion or worldly concern. Then nothing can help that person. And then that can be even the place can be contaminated like that. You see, that's why to actualize blessing of Dharma, you need auspicious teacher, auspicious environment, auspicious Dharma, auspicious time, etc. There's so many auspicious conditions to be actualized, to receive Dharma, to be a part, to whatever we learn, to really to transform ourselves. You see, so this is a very, very, very serious, very, very serious, and everybody need to play a role, to secure the pure Dharma, to secure the pure Dharma practice, So in that kind of environment, then even just be there or be among that person, be with that teacher, and just simply reciting Om, it really helps to subdue our mind and gain immense wisdom and altruism in our heart like that. Otherwise, how much we learn, how many texts we study, how many teachers we go for, the 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 mind become harder and harder. The body and speech become more and more wild like that. You see. So it's very, very dangerous. Then, when think of the karmic consequences, oh, very serious. Very, very, very serious. You see, Mm. uh, instead of being born in high realm, there's a danger of being born in the lowest hell realm like that. You see, so it's a very serious thing. Have to be very, very careful. That's why the dharma practitioner, Lojong practitioner, two things that has to be very clear: the activities of the beginning, activities of the end. Means making sure, setting up the right motivation, and making sure at the end that you observe the whether or the beginning to till the end all activities when according with what you motivated or not. If not, you purify. If did, then rejoice and dedicate the merit. You see. So like that. So do not turn gods into demon. Yeah, this is a similar thing. Do not seek misery for others as a means to happiness of yourself. Okay, then the eight or the seven from this 7 point, the 7 heading, presentation on the precept of mind training. Accomplishing all yogas through single means. Accomplishing all yogas of eating so on through not other but the single means. So doshanya, eating, sleeping, job, action, everything, everything, as a means to eradicate self-grasping, as a means to actualize true altruism. There are 2 tasks at the start and one at the end. There are 2 tasks to pursue, one at the start in the morning and one at the evening, at the end in the evening. So this is what I mentioned before, the setting of motivation, and at the end, observing your action, whether even according with the motivation or not. If there's anything that didn't go according with the virtue, purify. If anything that according with the motivation and the virtue, and rejoice and dedicate. Whichever of the 2 benefits and so on arise, bear them without consist of rejection. So whichever, happiness, suffering, whatever comes in your way, everything turn into a path, everything take into everything to develop to altruism. Guard the 2, even at the cost of your life. Guard the precept relevant to the teaching in general and the precept presented in this mind training teaching in particular, even at the cost of your life. So as I mentioned before, the general teachings, like not to commit any non-virtuous, commit only virtuous, subdue your mind, like that. Then all the liberation, individual liberation precept from refuge all the way up to the Sangha vows, Buddha vows, etc., etc. Then the specific commitment from the mind training teaching, as mentioned before, should take to take importance even in the course of your life, or guard, even at the cost of your life. Train in 3 difficult challenges. Train on the basis of qualified teacher, the ability to channel your mind, and the coming together of the external and internal condition in the 3 difficult challenges. The difficulty of recalling the antidote of the affliction at the beginning, and the difficulty of averting them in the middle, and the difficulty of examining their continuum. Then adopt the three principal conditions. The principal conditions of relying on a qualified guru, principal conditions of reflecting on, depression and the precious human rebirth. Then having faith, wisdom, renunciation, etc. Then contemplate the three that are free of degeneration, three undiminished reverence for your teacher, and so on. The seeing your guru in Buddha, having faith and respect in Guru, and taking Lojong practice, mind training practice, as an unsurpassable practice. Then be endowed with the three inseparable factors, as if your body, speech, and mind were competing among themselves in their accumulation of the three virtuous activities. The virtuous activities, virtues devoid of desire, virtues devoid of hatred, virtues devoid of ignorance. So as I mentioned before, mentally always cultivating either emptiness or either bodhicitta, to altruism. Then verbally all the time reciting mantra, reciting sutra, etc. Then physically, always engaging in practice like prostrations, like the dharma, the karma yoga, etc. Like that, as mentioned before, as if these three, body, speech, and mind, are like competing each other in the accumulation of virtue, like that. So then train constantly toward the chosen object, those living together with you, those hostile towards you, and those unappealing to you. So when you practice, loving kindness, compassion, altruism, start with the closest one. Start with the people the nearest to you. It could be your partner, it could be your pet, it could be anybody, stranger, it could be anybody. So in day-to-day 24 hours, whenever, whoever come nearest to you, and that is the first object for us to relate our practice of loving kindness, compassion. Then in the form of guarding our three doors from the negativities, and whatever negativities that arises most frequent, most in the force, and that negative action should be the first to apply antidote and eradicate. Then that anything that brings unpeeling to you, like from the three object of our three, different, the mind of attachment, anger and hatred, anger and ignorance. First we train. First we train our loving kindness with the enemy. Then second, we train loving kindness with the stranger. Then thirdly, we train loving kindness with the loved one. So start with the most difficult side as a Lojong practitioner. Those who have the good fortune to practice this mind training should adopt the standpoint such as that they do not depend on other conditions. As for other practices like Tantra, and also Vinaya practices, there are so many practices, need so many different conditions, physical condition, environmental condition, mental condition, to cultivate the practice, like that, like as a Sangha, you need, like monasteries, you need Sangha environment, etc. For Tantra, you need, Tantric ritual implements, initiation, this and that, so many conditions. But as far as concerned, Lojong practitioner, do not need to depend on any conditions, any conditions to practice, anywhere, anytime, in any situation. The Lojong practice, cultivation of altruism, cultivation of loving kindness, compassion, Buddhism, the emptiness, right there, right then, in any circumstances, Mm, in any time, like that, so there's no excuses at all, as a practitioner of loving kindness, compassion, Buddhism, the emptiness, or as practitioner of Lojong, say that, or uh, uh, it's not a good environment for me to practice, or I need something for me to practice. Not like that, anytime. Whenever there's negative emotion, it's the right time to practice. Whenever there is a virtuous environment, right time to practice. Wherever there is a harm givers, right time to practice. Wherever there's someone that who love you, right time to practice. So anytime, in anywhere, to anybody, like that. If relapse, take this inability to realize when practice the mind training as a very basis and meditate on its remedy itself. So we will fail many times, especially as a beginner. We will fail again and again. But then use the antidote of the dharma to apply the remedy and develop our heart. Like that. So engage in the principle. So engage in the principle practice right now, especially Bodhisattva on the beginner level. Now that you have obtained the human life of the leisure and opportunity to encounter the supreme spiritual teacher. Yeah. So this is the right time to practice Lojong, even as a beginner, because we have obtained the precious human rebirth, we have met the perfect mind guru, and we are introduced to the Lojong teaching. So this is the making sure that we get successful in the training of the mind. Do not apply misplaced understanding. Learn to cultivate joy in the virtuous activities, and do not engage in the six distorted understanding, such as misplaced hatefulness. So the six misplaced understanding. Misplaced understanding of forbearance, misplaced understanding of aspiration, misplaced understanding of savoring, misplaced understanding of composition, misplaced understanding of dedication, misplaced understanding of rejoicing. So have to be, whenever we relate to Dharma, whether you're learning, whether you're contemplating, whether you're meditating, should be free from these six different misplaced understandings. Then do not be sporadic, sometime training and sometime not training. So have to be consistent. Train with the decisiveness, the task of the measuring, whatever you can do this. You see, make that firm decision. Even like say today we first time meet the Lojong teaching, and right there make the firm decision that from now on I'm going to take the Lojong practice as a unsurpassable path or guidance in my life. Be released whether or not your mind stream has attained familiarity with the example through the true investigation, through the true investigation and close analysis when self-grasping arises. So whenever the self-grasping, this is the main obstacle when we do any form of Dharma practice, in particular Lojong practice. So whenever self-grasping arises, don't submit ourselves. We try to investigate. We investigate the way I feel about, the way I think about, the way I see things. It is the absolute way of existing or not? Whether it comes to self, whether it comes relate to the aggregates and the phenomena. So investigate with the reasoning and logic. Analyze, like such as analyze on the basis of basis of conventional truth, basis of ultimate truth, analyze on the basis of analyze through the reasoning or dependent arising, analyze through the seven the technique of analyzing the selflessness of self and selflessness of phenomena. like what Nagarjuna presented in the precious garland, this the chariot, using the example of chariot, carrot, uh, mm, like that. Then do not boast to anyone ever when you engage in the practice of your good deeds. Yeah, and do not be ill-tempered, regardless of how others treat you, and do not be fickle in fluctuating your expressions of like and dislike. Yeah. So you see, so all the time, as far as concerned with other sentient being, always having this delightful attitude towards others, always kind, compassionate, gentle towards others. Not it's only sometimes or something like that. Do not be boisterous even in the word of thanks. Like a diamond, like a sun, like a tree in full blossom, including even medicine. So you see, as a Lojong practitioner, you yourself dedicate your body, speech, and mind, like only for the benefit of others in the abundance way, like a diamond that which fulfill material, a lot of material wishes, like sun that which bring light to, without any discrimination to everybody anywhere. Then like a wish fulfilling tree, blossom with all the fruits of gift. You see, so wherever you go, whoever you see, like people affected with your kindness, your love, your smile. The moment they see you, they feel uplifted, they feel good, they feel happy. Like that. You see, so and you see, especially like like sangha. Sangha is example of dharma. So you see, so whoever sees sangha, people should gain inspiration. Sangha has to carry that quality, that when people see them, people feel so inspired, in dharma, in practice, in compassion, in renunciation, etc. uh, then from the people side also to look for that, you see. So then in the dharma centers, like people who lead the dharma in organizations, in the centers, in the groups, in the family. If you are a dharma practitioner, Lojong practitioner in the family, your body, speech, and mind has to be, you know far more better off than the rest of the others. When it comes to tolerance, when it comes to understanding, when it comes to softness, when it comes to kindness, when it comes to service, you see, you are like wish fulfilling jewel to each and every member of your family. You see, so this is what it means. You see, like you are like liked by everyone. You are yeah, like that. We, yeah, so this is not just a Lojong practitioner and a Dharma practitioner. We have to have these qualities. Then understand such as the purpose of practice and so on, the word, their meaning, the word that contain and so on. Through yeah, so through this proliferation of five degenerated due to the abundance of the condition for practice in the mind, the degeneration of lifespan, degeneration of view, degeneration of delusion, degeneration of person, degeneration of time. During this five degeneration, then it's even most effective to practice Lojong. Is most effective. The Lojong is like one of the most relevant practice. Everything is transformed into age to the part of enlightenment, good, bad, everything, everything, samsara, nirvana, everything, as an aid to the path of enlightenment. The hard practice of the atisha, the instruction that has a stream from the Maitreya, the blessed one transmitted to Maitreya, then to Asanga, then to Vashubandhu, then to Kusali elder, then to Kusali, then transmitted to the teacher Selingba, then to Lama Atisha, is concluded. So this conclude. So there's a this one is concluded, but there's a few verses attached to it. I will just read through it fast. It's a relinquish all basis those negative act done out of the attraction to the God's realms and the related to the world of loss, and that are cause of suffering of yourself and others. Transform everything, the degenerated error and affliction, which are the underlying motives into the Mayana path. Cherish your training towards the entire human race, all yogas and all conduct, all it is breath and death. For the each moment of the consciousness arise, this training see as in the nature of suffering and so on. Train in the both the main, the true giving and taking, and the precept combat not the God, demon, and so on, but rather the self-grasping and the secondary practices. Apply abstention and adoption forcefully with regard to the fierce one. Transform the adverse factor into aids of practice. Destroy all rationalization. For example, losing your enthusiasm for giving and taking because of thoughts like others are harming me. Purify first whichever affliction is strongest by examining your mind and applying the antidote against whatever is the strongest. Purify also discriminatory thoughts such as near and distant, love and hate, high and low. Train without partiality towards any object, for if you settle your mind in this training, everything turn into an aid. This greatly surpass all other virtues. Even merely hearing about it as a news again and again enhance its potency. When both are present, since you have discarded suffering, you can take them all those of others. Learn to ensure ease in your practice. Although this is advice pertaining to the achieved objective, you must integrate it right from the start. Begin the sequence of taking from your own self, such as those suffering you are likely to experience toward the latter part of your life, the suffering of your actual mother, and so on. The defining characteristic of the act, the practice of exchanging self and others, is that of letting go of the attachment and clinging to all, to this life and the future lives, to silent existence, and it is transcendence nirvana. The sign that you are trained is when you are endowed with the 5 marks of greatness. Hmm? So the 5 marks of the greatness of the patient, greatness of the heart, the greatness of the virtue, the greatness of the precept, and greatness of the uh, practitioner. Mm. Uh, the foremost of which is the practice of fully ordained monk and uphold of the monastic ethics. Do not be a stranger, but instead relate others affectionately with awakening mind. Do not give clarification of others' negative act and shortcoming, for this prevent your realization. Do not harbor expectations of others. Mm. take take many, for you are aware of the discarding of others' suffering. In the future, always put on the armor with the thought, I shall not allow myself to fall prey to all those conditions that uh, preoccupied me in my life. When stability is attained, reveal the secret, the true giving and taking, uh, the profound meaning, the experience of the exchanging of self and others, the relation between negative karma and suffering, and so on. This concludes the treatise on the mind training. This was composed by Master Atisha. May goodness prevail. Thank you very much. Okay, so I took some more time of you, so we do the short dedication. Please also dedicate this collective merit to people who pass away for the last 49 days. Luo Kim Chen, Dariga Romanova, then the Mariam's late father, the mother of Gigi, Sam Kohor, then the young boy Thomas Train, cat Manjushri, dog Mocha, and Nikolai, Gelong Jamso, then the young boy Benson, and Zheng Guin, and the rest of the others that due to the coronavirus that who pass away around the world. May this collective merit be complete cause for them to purify their mind, purify the sufferings and negativities throughout the intermediate state, and they actualize their past virtuous imprint and achieve higher rebirths and liberations and enlightenment, and also dedicate this collective merit to the world, to the people who are having so much fear, negativities, and suffering from the coronavirus, to be overcome as soon as possible. The medicine, the vaccine be actualized most effectively, swiftly, as soon as possible. May this collective merit be the cause for to overcome this. So many natural disasters are happening, now, like heavy floods in like China, in Nepal, India, etc. And there are so many other elemental disturbances, to overcome instantly. And may all the people, may all the beings be free from all these sufferings. And also dedicate this collective merit be complete cause to be to all the political leaders, the leaders of the family, leaders of the organizations. Everyone has a heart of compassion, so that everyone can able to experience happiness, harmony, peace. May this collective merit be complete cause for all the precious gurus like Sonda Lama, Gyaltsab Lama, Surmiche, and all your spiritual gurus, sanghas, and good practitioners, including yourself, your family, have a long, healthy, prosperous life. May all your aspirations, including benefiting others, and all the way up to achieving full enlightenment, be achieved swiftly. And may everyone's days and nights be auspicious. Yeah, Chandrasundar. Kiwani Mama by Kone Kundu, Tony Tower, which might be Kiwani Mama by Kone Kundu. Premier Tower, which might be Kiwani Mama by Kone Kundu Pevara, show Correra Commission on the Penata Mani, Jerusalem, Shabe City about the danger to the church, young with Gary, the Zinyo Pever, consult over Chosoko, and Lemon to do that's what the Jemon do shall day. Thank you very much. And please take good care and have a very meaningful week. Take care. See you next week. Bye-bye.